yesterday, Sayadaw spoke about Samadhija Piti Sukha. This is the joy and happiness that arise when one gains collectedness of mind, that is samadhi. At that point, piti arises a lot. There is strong joy. And in terms of Vipassana knowledge, this occurs at the stage of Udyabhya Jnana, the stage of realizing the rising and passing away of phenomena. At this point, the joy has strong momentum and seems to occur in waves. And it's also at this stage, one adjective for this stage is ekodi bhavan, the type of samadhi. It falls collectedly on every arising object. This is quite evident. And it's also said, ajatang sampasadanam. So the mind is very clear within one's stream of existence, that is nama and rupa. The mind is very clear. So one is free of vitaka and vichara. These two factors have calmed down. No special effort is required at this point to aim the mind or to make the mind rub against the object. One has naturally accurate aim, and to that extent the mind hits the object directly. Initially, earlier on in the practice, one has to aim repeatedly, and as much as one makes that effort to aim and the aim is accurate, then one will hit the object directly and rub against it. But when one is skilled, then one just has to look at the target and can throw, and hit the mark accurately. Similarly, when one sees the object immediately, one can note it accurately without deliberately aiming. Earlier on, one doesn't have very much skill yet, and so one deliberately aims, tries to aim the mind, and as much as one tries to do this, one hits the object. But when one does this, when one trains oneself a lot, then one becomes skilled. And this is called in Pali parichaya. One becomes adept. So, although it is not evident yet this is happening, but it becomes very evident when Vipassana knowledge occurs, this skill in hitting the target. And at that stage, the yogi experiences a lot of joy and peace. The body feels as if it's floating up in the air. Feels like one is sitting in the air, or just floating gently from place to place. And the stage of parana piti, pervading joy, the feeling just pervades the whole body, so much so that the yogi doesn't want to move at all, doesn't want to open one's eyes if they're closed, doesn't want to end the sitting, just wants to continue sitting because the piti, the joy, is pervading the whole body. And at that point, the yogi is happy with the Dhamma and no longer has any type of boredom or disinterest at all. One feels joy and peace. These two qualities, piti and sukha, are very, very clear. And this is called samadhija piti sukha, the joy and happiness or peace that are created by samadhi or collectedness of mind. At this point, this is both because the samadhi is strong, both because of being free of the nivaranas and also because the bhavana mind has full power at this point. If a yogi makes effort, this stage can be realized within 1 week, or even a matter of days, even less than 1 week. On the other hand, if one practices lightly, then this won't develop, knowledge will not develop, and the practice will be boring. One won't feel any joy, and because there's no joy, there will be no happiness or peace. And one will just be wavering and unclear about the object. So even if one spends a month or more, one won't gain any taste of the Dhamma if one practices lightly. The first part of gaining this good taste of Dhamma, the initial thing that is there when we gain the good taste of Dhamma, this joy, is the right view of Kamma and Kamma result, called in Pali Kamma Sakata Samadeti. Basically, this is the understanding that when we do something good, there will be a good result of some kind. And when we do something bad, then there will be a bad result of some kind. And we understand that if our physical, verbal, and mental behavior, if our action, speech, and mind are clean and free of fault, then this is good. And so it's a good thing to do, to keep our behaviors clean. It's this basic knowledge. When we also understand that this good and bad that we do becomes our inheritance. This is what we inherit, the results of the good and bad actions that we've done. So somehow we hear about this. We hear about this understanding of karma or kamma. We may have heard about it or read about it or maybe talked to friends about it. And thus one starts to have an understanding of this law of cause and effect. So this is the knowledge of cause and effect, or Kamma Sakata Samadeti. And in practicing the Dhamma of Satipatthana, we understand there are benefits to doing so. The benefits are, first of all, we can gain purity of mind. This practice also overcomes sorrow, overcomes the lamentation that occurs due to sorrow. It brings an end to physical pain and to mental distress. And it's following this path is the cause for being able to eliminate completely the kilesas of greed, hatred, and delusion, raga, dosa, and moha, as well as the other kilesas that cause all of our suffering. And we can also, through this path, experience avedita sukha, that is happiness and peace that does not involve experiencing an object. This is what the Buddha guaranteed. And we know about these benefits from either hearing about them at a meditation center like this, or from reading about them, or maybe we heard a recording. Without this knowledge, one won't undertake the practice. One won't have any desire to do so. And without this type of knowledge, one may even think the opposite. This path leads to happiness, and if we miss following this path, we miss happiness. But without this understanding of karma and the benefits of satipatthana. One may think the opposite instead. So one has heard about the benefits of satipatthana and also about the law of cause and effect. And one comes to have faith in this, the fact of cause and effect. Our faith becomes awake and it grows. And hearing about the benefits of the practice, we want to gain them. So when the aim is accurate, when we observe the arising object and the aim is accurate, then we can see the object clearly. We become definite about what the object is. And when we develop the jhanic factors, then we experience clarity of mind, and as well as joy and happiness, peace. So knowing the benefits of jhana, faith awakens again. And due to faith, we have the desire, the chanda, to experience these things, these good tasting things. And according to our desire, we come to a center like this. And due to our effort in observing the object and trying to make our aim accurate, we come to be able to observe the object accurately, to connect with it directly. So when the factors of virya, effort, sati, mindfulness, samadhi, concentration, and the jhanic factors are all complete, then the yogi becomes happy and joyous. And then one is no longer interested in sense pleasures, because one has experienced a pleasure that is far, far better than anything that one has previously experienced. And especially at the stage of Uddiyabhya Jnana, one doesn't think highly of worldly pleasures anymore. And, one can achieve this level of practice in a relatively short time. The yogis who are meditating here have at the base or at the root of what they're doing this right view of cause and effect, the understanding that is called Kamma Sakata Samadeti, that Kamma is our own property. With this at the base, one's faith is awake, and one understands that we can get a calm mind and we can gain knowledge through this practice. And thus we have the desire to get these results and practice. So when we are able to observe the object, every arising object, starting with the main object of the rising and the falling, with virya, sati, and samadhi, sati sticks to the object, and one moment after another, momentary concentration or khanika samadhi is occurring. The samadhi group, these three factors that are part of the path, virya, sati, and samadhi, are occurring with each noting. And one moment after another, energy develops, the energy of these factors. With accurate aim each time, once one has been able to aim accurately many times, then one starts to hit the object directly, contact it directly with the quality of rubbing. And then the piti and sukha occur very distinctly in the yogi's mind. And at that point, the mind falls collectedly on the object. The samadhi becomes very good. And this is called ekodi bhavan. And Sayadawji said, he made a comparison between samatha jhana and vipassana jhana. with samatha jhana, what we can gain, if we actually develop the jhanas, the absorptions with it, then we can gain rebirth in the Brahma world, where lifetimes are very, very long. But that's all we can gain. We can't gain knowledge. With Vipassana jhana, this is a support for us to develop knowledge of the way things really are, beginning with the discernment of nama and rupa, mind and matter. So we must understand that jhana, or absorption, is involved in this practice, and only if these jhanic factors are present will our practice be effective. Jhana is a very great help to the Vipassana practice. The knowledge of Kamma and the results of Kamma, Kamma Sakkata is the most important knowledge for all the people, all beings of the world. This is knowing that if one doesn't avoid bad deeds, then one will get bad results. Knowing this, one avoids doing bad. And to that extent, to the extent one can avoid doing unwholesome deeds, then to that extent one avoids bad results. And with this knowledge also, one understands that doing good will bring good results. That it's good to have to perform good actions, to have good verbal behavior, to have good mental behavior, and that each moment of clean physical, verbal, and mental behavior brings good. So this knowledge of Kamma Sakkata Samadeti, the understanding of karma as our own property, was called by the teachers of old the light of the world. And it's all because it doesn't disappear from the world. And it's also called the light of samsara, because as long as there is samsaric existence of beings being born and dying, of nama and rupa occurring again and again, this light will be there. So this understanding, in terms of religions, this understanding is found in Hinduism and also in Buddhism. And it's not found in Christianity or Islam. It's also not found in beliefs that hold that this life is the only one that there is. There's just this, and after death there's nothing. It's just a big nothing. And also in beliefs that say Creator made all things, and this Creator will save us. So in such religions, one doesn't need to do anything at all. There's no action that one needs to perform in this case. One only needs to believe. Hinduism holds that there is a Creator that is believed in, but they also hold that the law of cause and effect holds true. So they have both the Creator view and the understanding of karma. Buddhism is the only doctrine in the world which has a true understanding of cause and effect of karma. Basically, that things done with good intention, good deeds, bring good results, and bad deeds bring bad results. And there's no idea of a creator involved in Buddhism. So in terms of individuals, this right view of karma and karma results, Kamma Sakkata Samadeti, is found among people who follow the Hindu religion and among Buddhists. This light does not die from the world. It does not die out. And if the world, for example, if it is If it disappears in one place, it occurs in another. And if the world itself is destroyed, this light will appear in another world. It will never die out. As long as there is samsara, the continuous lifetimes, continuity of lifetimes and nama and rupa, this light will not die out. And in Pali it is called Kamma Sakata Jnana, or the knowledge of Kamma as one's own property, or Kamma Sakata Samadeti, the right view of karma as one's own property. So with the understanding of Kamma as our own property, with this knowledge that is called the light of the world, people do actions such as dana, giving. But sometimes, of course, people don't have this understanding, but they do dana, they practice generosity anyhow, because it's part of what they believe in. And they have metta, loving kindness for others. And it may be according to the doctrine they believe in. And they do these good things because they have the ability to reflect. It's not because it was ordained for them to do like this. And although one doesn't initially have some understanding, by practicing dana and having loving kindness, one comes to have faith that these bring good results. So the Buddha talked about what is beneficial and what brings bad results. And an example of what he taught in this way is morality or sila. The Buddha taught that we should avoid killing. And this teaching of the Buddha to avoid killing is well preached. It's well said. This is called svakata in Pali. That means that it gives results accordingly. So the Buddha said, don't kill. And if we try to do as he said, we can see for ourselves that by not killing, our physical behavior becomes clean. It becomes clean immediately due to our undertaking this precept. It's not due to a God making us clean. So because one controls oneself also, others are not harmed. So this practice, the practices taught by the Buddha, if one applies these with faith, then one will get the corresponding results. One will get the results that are promised. If one avoids stealing, similarly, if one avoids adultery or lying, it's similar. What we get when we avoid misdeeds is we get the immediate benefit of clean physical or verbal behavior. When we follow the things that the Buddha said to do, they bring the results according to what we do. They bring promised results, consistent results. And this is the quality of svakata. The Buddha said that when one person speaks with another, they should speak the truth. And they should speak in a gentle way. One should not speak divisively, so that one person and another become separated. One shouldn't speak harshly. And one shouldn't speak in a way that wastes time. So the Buddha said, these are things to be avoided, and others are things to be done. Some types of speech are to be avoided, and some types of speech are to be said. So try this and see for yourself. When you try what the Buddha said, how do you feel? When we avoid the types of speech that the Buddha said to avoid, we don't get bad results. And when we speak in the positive ways that the Buddha said, we get the results as said. So now the yogis here are practicing, and in order to keep the mind from running all over, the yogis place their mind on the body firmly, and they make effort, pushing the mind to reach the object. And if one does so, then sluggishness does not occur. Laziness does not occur. So one is free of faults. This is a correct result that definitely arises when one applies effort to observe the object. Defilements don't enter. Defilements can't arise. And then it's said that when the mindfulness is steadfast, then the mind becomes secure. So if the mindfulness sticks to the object, with our effort, eventually the mindfulness sticks to the object. And when that happens, defilements don't enter one's mind stream. The mind is secure. So, if we apply sati, we can see that this result comes about as it's said to come about. When sati sticks to the object further, the mind falls collectedly on the object. And then the mind doesn't go anywhere else. So there's no thoughts of greed or anger or delusion. There's no movement due to these defilements. And thus the mind becomes calm and quiet. So this is what is said, and this is what actually occurs when we apply the practice. So the yogis must understand this. When we're practicing jhana, and in this case Vipassana jhana, our object is the mental and physical qualities, rupa and nama. And to be able to observe, to be able to connect with every newly arising object accurately, the mind has to be alert and active with the accurate aim. And thus, because of this active, alert mind, sloth and torpor or tina mita does not arise. This quality of accurate aim, vitakka, opposes sloth and torpor. And thus it eliminates it. And with effort, applying effort to note the object, there's no laziness. With accurate aim, there's no sloth and torpor or tina mita. One has replaced sloth and torpor with accurate aim. And without vichara, the mind wavers. The mind is doubtful about the object, and this is vicikkecha. But with vichara, contacting the object directly, rubbing against it, one's mind becomes definite. One knows the object the way it is. So this quality of vichara opposes vicikkecha and dispels it. So this is how the obstacle of vicikkecha or wavering or doubt is burned up by the jhanic factor of vichara. And when joy occurs, piti, joy is the opposite of vyabhada or anger, which is a mind state that makes the mind foul. To the extent that we have joy, there's no chance for this angry foul mind to occur. The jhanic factor of joy burns it up. And the quality of sukha, happiness and peace, because this is a cool quality, it overcomes, it's cool and peaceful, it overcomes the scattered mind. There's no chance for udicca to occur when the mind is experiencing sukha. And because of its coolness, it overcomes regret and remorse, which are hot qualities. So this quality of sukha, the jhanic factor of sukha, burns up these nivaranas of udicca and kokocha. And samadhi, this stability and clarity of mind, this directly opposes kamacchanda, or the desire for sense pleasures, sense desire. With every noting, the mind falls collectively on the object, and thus there's no thought for sense desire to arise. This quality of samadhi or ekagata burns up the nivarana of kamacchanda. So this is the quality or the power of jhana. When one is free of the nivaranas, the obstacles of the nivaranas, and the disturbance that they create, if one practices to develop the factors that oppose them, the jhanic factors, the nivaranas will be eliminated. So this is the quality of svakata, of being well preached. So one should always apply oneself to the practice. One should always be working, always doing the work of the practice. And if so, every second, the quality of svakata, how the Dhamma is well preached, will become evident. And at that point, one's physical, verbal, and mental behavior will be very beautiful. So in closing, Sayadaw has only talked today about the light of the world, the understanding of Kamma as one's own property. And tomorrow he will continue to talk about the light of the sasana. And he wants to urge all of the yogis that with this understanding called the light of the world, may you be able to develop the lights of the sasana. That's all for today. Sadhu, 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 sadhu.